Thank you. We now recognize the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Pizzat, here's what I think is the real situation. We have some companies that can offer tele-remote work to both protect workers and keep productivity high. But on the other hand, we have other industries that rely almost entirely on physical frontline workers who are mostly women, African American, and Hispanic workers with no telecommunication options and at the same time paid at the lowest wages. So, Dr. Bissett, have industries and companies that allow for teleworking been more able to adapt to the COVID-19 crisis and keep productivity high? And is it possible that the market will value these companies and industries more highly because they're able to be responsive and maintain productivity in the face of the massive interruptions like we are seeing today?
Thank you, Congressman Scott, for that question. So, as you had mentioned, as the pandemic set in, there became a distinct difference between the types of working situations that workers were able to enjoy. For some people, they were able to move their work to telework, and some companies were able to benefit from that. Other companies and the nature of the work did not allow for the movement to telework. Those types of industries and companies employ essential workers, and as we know, essential workers tend to be predominantly Black and brown and low-wage workers. And in those industries, people had to come to work. So as a result of that, companies that were able to keep their production moving and their productivity moving in the same direction because they were able to implement telework clearly had less of an interruption in their revenue production. For those, sorry?
No, I just wanted to say you touched upon another point that what you're saying results in. Since women, African Americans, and Hispanics hold more of these physical, you gotta be there in person, frontline jobs with no opportunity to telework, are you concerned that this diversion will widen the wealth gap?
Thank you for that question. Yes, of course, I'm concerned that this will widen the wealth gap for a number of reasons. One, first of all, because of the predominance of people of color in low-wage jobs in general do not come with the kinds of benefits and obviously the kind of income that would be necessary to decrease the racial wealth gap and the racial income gap, both of which have increased since 2010.
Now, I want to ask you, because it's been the hallmark of our committee. Many of us have been on there working to provide answers to closing this wealth gap. And this is particularly true for African Americans. Nobody has suffered more since the advent of slavery. We've been trying to close this wealth gap. And I see excellent opportunities within this crisis, within what we can do in Congress to give financial stability, increase financial security for the African American community. But tell us, if there were one or two things that we could do in this Congress using this pandemic crisis, what would they be that you would recommend we do?
Those two things would be ensure that the Federal Reserve is charged with pegging its management of unemployment rate to bring down the Black unemployment rate to the white unemployment rate. That's number one. Number two is financing small businesses, minority and Black-owned small businesses.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I thank the gentleman from Georgia. Recognize